Welcome to Arise United Devils. In today's news, Manchester United boss Erik ten Hag dealt fresh injury blow ahead of Bayern Munich clash. Wan-Bissaka has been added to Manchester United's lengthy injury list and is expected to be sidelined for several weeks. The right back only came on in the 85th minute of Saturday's 3-1 defeat to Brighton at Old Trafford, but sustained an injury that is set to keep him out for a prolonged period. It means Wan-Bissaka will miss Wednesday's Champions League opener away to Bayern Munich, along with Premier League games against Burnley, Crystal Palace and Brentford. Wan-Bissaka is also set to miss United's Carabao Cup tie at home to Palace a week tomorrow and their Champions League group game against Galatasaray at home on October 3rd. United boss Erik ten Hag is already without left-back Luke Shaw and Tyrell Malacia, centre-back Raphael Varane, midfielders Mason Mount and Sofyan Amrabat, while wingers Jadon Sancho and Antony are unavailable due to off-field issues. A United statement read, Wan-Bissaka is set for a period on the sidelines after sustaining an injury during the closing stages of Saturday's game against Brighton and Hove Albion. The right back came on as an 85th minute substitute, having started the game on the bench after battling illness during the week. Further assessment will be needed to determine how long Wan-Bissaka will be out for, but initial indications suggest it will be several weeks. In a new development, Gary Neville claims Manchester United failed to get the two signings they needed in transfer window. Gary Neville insists there should be no hysteria around Manchester United at the moment, but he confessed they just do not have enough quality to challenge the top teams. United were condemned to a humbling home defeat to Brighton on Saturday, their third defeat in 5 Premier League matches at the start of the campaign. Each of those defeats has come by a margin of 2 goals. Erik ten Hag's side slumped to a 3-1 loss to the Seagulls, who were hugely impressive and fully deserving of their triumph. Yet Neville does not believe there is anything fundamentally wrong with United in terms of effort or application, and instead claims that missing out on the signings of Declan Rice and Harry Kane are why the club have not been able to elevate themselves this campaign. I was worried at the start of the season, Neville said on the latest Gary Neville podcast. There was this feeling Manchester United had got their business done early in the transfer window, and that was good, but I was concerned the players they had brought in wouldn't improve them from last season. I never thought for one second they would challenge Manchester City and Arsenal from the players that they brought in. That would have needed a Harry Kane type signing or Declan Rice, as an example. They didn't have the money to do those types of signings. Neville added earnestly. They're not very good at the moment. There's no hysteria. I went to the Brighton game as a fan thinking, could I be surprised? You're always optimistic. I have never walked over that forecourt at Old Trafford and not been optimistic, because that's the job of a football fan going to any ground where you support your team. But 72,000 Manchester United fans in that stadium, who are informed and know Brighton and know their current team, I don't think any of them was surprised at what they saw. Before the game there was that feeling of let's see what happens, take a point, those sort of comments speaking to people as you go in. Furthermore, on Gary Neville's comments, he claims Manchester United have bugs in the dressing room, amid chaos for ten Hag, as he names 2 examples. Gary Neville has claimed Manchester United have bugs in the dressing room, amid a chaotic start to the season. Erik ten Hag's side lost 3-1 to Brighton at the weekend to leave them languishing in 13th in the Premier League table. It has been a turbulent time for the club recently amid the manager's public dispute with Jadon Sancho, who has since been banished to youth team. This comes after Harry Maguire was stripped of the captaincy over the summer. Neville is hoping ten Hag will soon turn form around, but the Sky Sports pundit is worried that there are more behind-the-scenes problems. He explained, how popular is Sancho and Maguire in the dressing room? He's got some bugs in there that we don't know from the outside. What discomfort and uncertainty is being created on the inside? You've got a player at the moment who is probably changing in the first-team dressing room, but obviously over with the academy. You've got Maguire, who has been captain of these players 12 months ago, now almost alienated as 3rd, 4th, 5th centre half. He's got some situations in there I don't know the damage that's having. But in terms of his work on the pitch, I don't think ten Hag will change. The fact of the matter is there has been many a manager over the last 10 to 12 years since Sir Alex Ferguson left that have found challenges at Manchester United. What I'm hoping at the moment is it's just a difficult start to the season and it's not a repeat of what we've seen previously. We've seen it becoming challenging for Jose Mourinho, for Louis van Gaal, for David Moyes, for obviously Ralf Rangnick and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. So I hope it is not the beginning of that. On a final note, Rio Ferdinand and Alan Shearer agree on the Glazers amid fury over Manchester United crisis. Alan Shearer and Rio Ferdinand have both hammered the Glazers amid Manchester United's poor start to the season. The Red Devils lost for the third time in 5 outings as they were beaten by Brighton, their first reverse at Old Trafford after 2 unconvincing home wins. Questions are being asked of Erik ten Hag and his team, who don't look to have progressed on last year. United's failings come amid continued uncertainty around the club's ownership, with the Glazers remaining absent and silent. The Americans signaled their intent to explore new revenue streams last year, whilst they also touted the possibility of selling up. They have remained quiet since then, with no communication as to what their intentions are, which has not been well received. Shearer told the Rest is Football podcast, "I'm not saying it's all their fault, because it shouldn't affect what happens on the pitch, but at whatever level you're at, what happens at the very top or an organization always drip feeds itself down onto the shop floor. This is what is happening at Manchester United, and it will continue to happen until the very top. The Glazer families sort themselves out. Whether that's selling the club, whatever it is. Is it for sale? Is it not for sale? Until that gets sorted out, I think they will suffer, and they will continue to suffer." Ferdinand, who played at the club when the Americans were at the helm, has also criticized their lack of updates. He isn't the only member of Sir Alex Ferguson's former team to hold such frustrations, with Gary Neville particularly vocal on social media. Speaking on YouTube show 5, he said, "These owners, the Glazers, I don't care what they say now, since June we've not heard anything. Even then it was tepid. Communication in any line of work, in any business, is vital for it to flourish and proposer and to function properly. Their lack of communication has been deafening. It's been disgraceful in my eyes, because you've got a fanbase, an institution, a club, a staff, players, a manager who to work at their best." Ferdinand referenced how anti-Glazer protests during his time at United were not heard as much due to the results on the pitch, thanks to a secure and solid changing room. The former defender says the current situation is different and that the Glazers need to step up and help. Ferdinand added, "This is a fragile changing room, a fragile infrastructure. There's new people coming in and out, the culture's trying to be reset. People behind that are new as well. And this ownership aren't communicating to help that. We need communication now more than ever, and they're not getting it. That's where my anger and frustration lies with the ownership. The silence speaks volumes." Fans, what do you think is responsible for the many injuries to the playing squad this season? Let us know what you think in the comments section below. Till next time.